Hello, everybody. My name is Ethan Dean, here with Greater Than Careers. Today, I have Miss Audrey Roman here with me. Miss Audrey, you want to say hi and kind of tell them your business and what you're doing right now?
Sure. Hi, my name's Audrey Roman. I'm from Uvalde, Texas. I am the owner of a women's retail business called Small Town Elegance. I've been in business for a little over a year. And somebody once told me, you never work a day in your life if you do something you love. And they were right. That's really, really something that you need to think about when choosing a career path.
So is it like a women's boutique, or what would you kind of label it as?
Yeah, it's a women's boutique. Basically, it's like for high school girls and their mom. So I have a little bit of everything. I have shoes, I have clothes, I have jewelry, accessories. I live in a small town, and so we don't really have that many places to shop. And so when I opened my boutique, I kept that in mind and try to have a little bit of everything.
Okay. So can you give us kind of like a brief overview of like what you're doing on like a day-to-day basis within your role of owning the store?
Sure. So my day-to-day basis, and first thing I, open the store. We are on Instagram, Facebook. We do have a website. So that stuff we have to check. We have to check orders. Usually we have orders that need to go out that day. So that's the first thing we do. Social media is very important right now. So we have to, post at least, 2 pictures a day. We have to post stuff on our stories. Social media is really big right now. And so that's usually the first thing we do when we, come to the boutique.
Okay. As far as like ordering stuff, as far as like, to kind of like fill the shelves, is that something that you're doing like daily, weekly? Like is that something, how does that work?
Yeah, we do that weekly.
Okay.
So every week we get new inventory. And basically, as the owner, that's what I do. So I pick out all the clothes, I order all the clothes based on the demographic that comes into our boutique. And that's usually what helps me pick what I think will sell in the store. But once a week, we have to fill our racks with inventory.
Yeah, okay. And then as far as like the distributors and like where you're getting the clothes from, is that coming from like different like brands like throughout like the country, or how are you like getting different suppliers into your store?
So to open the boutique, I had to get a wholesale license.
Okay.
And I needed that license to buy clothes in bulk. And so I work with a big warehouse in California, and it has hundreds of different brands that I could choose from. So once they, checked my license to make sure I was a legit business, I got accepted. And now I work directly with that warehouse in California, and I get to pick from all different kinds of vendors that work with that warehouse.
Okay, that's awesome. So what got you interested in owning your own boutique?
I love shopping. What girl doesn't? I've always loved shopping. I've always loved fashion, clothes. I like dressing up my friends, for fun events, or if they have a date or prom or something, I like to dress up people. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. When I went to college, I kept saying, I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to have a clothing store one day. And so since I was a kid, I've just always wanted to do this.
Okay. So it's definitely something you're very passionate about then.
Yes.
That's positive. So as far as like getting into like the career of owning your own like boutique in your own store, like how did you kind of like put your toe in the water and kind of first get into it?
So I went to college, and I got kind of like a wide range, I guess, bachelor's degree in communications, because I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to have a business, but I wasn't sure exactly how to do it or what I wanted to do. So I got a bachelor's degree in communications with a minor in business. But after college, I started working at a law firm, which I loved, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. And life took me down another road, and I got engaged. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but he was nice enough to say, keep the ring, do whatever you want with the ring. So I held on to it, and I started thinking, this is my chance to start my business. This is my chance to open my boutique. So I sold that ring, and with the money I got, I started my boutique. I started ordering clothes, and it was basically a really small boutique in my house.
Okay.
So I would take pictures of the clothes I had. I would send them to people I knew, family members, their friends, friends of the family, and they would come to my house, and I'd have all my clothes out, like in my living room. And that's how I started. I started selling out of my house on Instagram, just taking pictures of clothes. And then it kind of grew from there. And today, now I own an actual store.
It's actually really awesome. It's a really cool, like little journey story right there.
Yes. So it started off, kind of a rocky start, but it turned in, to a happy ending. I got my store.
That's super positive. So right now, obviously maybe it's a little bit different with like COVID going on and everything else. Maybe it's exactly the same. I don't know. How many hours like a week are you normally working, and like kind of like break that down for us?
So the boutique is open for 6.5 hours a day. We're open from 11 to 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
Me being the store owner, there's usually paperwork or stuff I have to do. So I'm usually at the store until about 6:30.
Okay.
With COVID, I did have to close in March.
Okay.
So I did have to close my store down. I was still doing, the online thing. I wasn't able to reopen my store to the public until mid-May.
Okay.
So my business did, kind of take a hit there. And in the town where I'm from, in Uvalde, it really didn't get bad here until summer, till about July. So I did see a drop in, orders and the money that was coming in, because, people were scared to go out, they were scared to go into the stores. And but thankfully, things have picked back up, and, now we're, back on track and doing really well.
That's super positive. So it sounds like you kind of had like work around COVID a little bit, and kind of almost get back to your roots, almost in a way of like selling through Instagram and like social media versus having a store.
To small settings, selling to people more one-on-one is what I was doing. I was setting up private appointments for that one shopper, and that they could come and shop and see what stuff I had. And so that's basically how I was doing it till I was able to reopen to the public.
It's cool though. You found a way to kind of like work around it and make it work, which is positive. So what was the first job you ever worked, whether it was in high school or college or whatever it may have been?
My first job was in high school, working at a diner. I was a waitress.
Okay. How'd you like that?
I mean, I liked it because I got free food.
Okay.
So, it was nice because I always had something like nice to eat. I love meeting new people, and that's what I love about the boutique. I love, conversation. I love meeting new people. And when I worked at the diner, our lunch hour, we were very, very busy. And so I liked talking to people, meeting people. I'm not that strong. So I didn't like carrying like the, plates around. That's something I was never very good at. But yeah, that was my first job.
Okay, cool. I know you said you had a degree from UTSA. You said it was in communications with a minor in business.
Minor in business.
Okay. So you said like when you were going to school, you didn't really necessarily know what you wanted to do. Do you feel like the degrees helped you at all with like running your business or opening the business, or is it kind of just like it's there if you ever need it, or what do you feel about that?
I feel like the classes, my business courses really did help me. Because the business courses I took, they taught us how like taxes, and owning a retail store, I have to pay taxes every 3 months. And so that's something I was familiar with, like W-2 forms and 1099 forms, stuff like that I had seen in class.
Okay.
And so definitely the business classes I took helped me. And the communication classes, I feel like helped me to, talk to different people, because I get a lot of different personalities that walk into the store. And I feel like all the communication classes I had helped me with that. And so I feel like that has helped our store grow, because people like coming into the store and conversation, and people feel important when you ask them like, oh, how's your daughter doing? Or how was your son's basketball game? People like feeling, important, and they stay longer, and they tend to come back to the boutique.
Yeah, you
So,
build those relationships with them. That makes a lot of sense.
right.
So as far as for you, you're working at the store, obviously, during the regular hours. How many employees do you have right now?
I have one employee.
Okay. Are you looking to kind of like expand that out and like add more people, or maybe have another store, another location, or are you kind of just like working with what you got right now? I'm just kind of curious what the plan is like going forward.
Yeah, that is the goal. I would love to have another boutique at another small town like Uvalde,
Okay.
where there aren't very many places to shop, where people have to drive, an hour and a half, 90 miles to San Antonio for the mall, stuff like that. I would definitely love, that's a goal of mine, to have another location
Okay. Awesome.
somewhere down the road.
Awesome. So, I mean, it might be a little bit different with the town that you're currently in, but maybe you can speak on it a little bit for people that are in smaller towns. How competitive is the environment like opening a store like that? Whether it's like specifically with you guys being like a clothing retail store, like how competitive is that environment? Like how competitive is it getting people to come and like shop your store?
It's getting competitive because we had one store for people to shop, and that was Bell's. Once Bell's closed, there was no retail stores here.
Okay.
And so now a lot of people see the demand, and a lot of boutiques are starting to open up.
Okay.
How I try to keep my customers coming back, I try to carry different dresses or different blouses that the other boutiques have. So I try to just be a little bit different, so we're not all carrying the same inventory, because it can get a little bit competitive, especially price range. If y'all have the same tops, of course they're going to go with the one that has a price lower.
Yeah, of course.
So I definitely try to keep different inventory than what the other boutiques have, and that's something I'm always checking, through Instagram, Facebook. It's good to know what your other competition has, so you don't have the same thing. So you
Yeah,
have a different look.
yeah. I mean, also it looks like just from the wall behind you, it looks like your whole vibe in your store is very, very different from a lot of places I've ever been in before. So that probably sets you apart right there by itself.
Yeah, when I opened this boutique, I wanted kind of like an upscale, elegant boutique, but an affordable price.
Yeah, that's
And
actually really
so
awesome.
I don't have anything in my boutique over $40. Everything is under. My price range is about 25 to 35 is what my stuff runs.
Okay. So it has like a really good, like you said, kind of like an upscale vibe, but the prices are like still affordable, but you're still getting good quality stuff as well, which is good, which is awesome.
Exactly.
So within running like the store and like the whole like kit and caboodle of like being in charge of everything, what's like your the best thing or your like most favorite thing about like running your own boutique?
When I see people wearing like clothes from my store, or I see, I could be out of town and run into somebody, from my town, Uvalde, and it's like, oh my gosh, I love your dress, because I know it's from like my boutique. So that's like the biggest reward, is when I see people that I really don't know, because when I first started off, it was my family wearing my clothes, or friends of a family wearing my clothes. But when I see people I don't know and they're wearing clothes from my boutique, that's really rewarding, because I know that they like what they bought.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see people like regulars. I have some ladies that come in once a week to see like my new stuff. And so that's really nice. I think in small towns, you have to kind of build relationships with people.
Yeah.
And that way they'll keep coming into your store.
Yeah, no, that's super positive. It kind of goes back into what you said about like the communications thing, where just kind of building those relationships, which is awesome. So what do you feel like is like I always hate to ask this question, but it's a good one. What do you think is like the hardest or maybe like the worst thing about like running your own boutique?
So the hardest thing is nothing's guaranteed. So
Okay.
one week I could have an awesome week, awesome sales, make a good amount of money. And the next week it's hard to get anybody into the store. And so you never know. It can go from one week to the next. One week could be really great, and the next week could be really slow, where we mainly see 1 or 2 shoppers a day.
Okay.
So that's the thing. It's not like a a steady paycheck where you know you're going to get paid, every other week the same amount. No, that's retail is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You never know what the following week's going to bring you.
You got to kind of keep hustling all the time.
That's right. And what I've noticed is weather has a lot
Yeah,
to do with sales. Nobody wants to shop when it's like gloomy and rainy outside, when it's bright and sunny, those are real busy days. So that's a little bit of a downside to owning your own business.
Yeah, completely understand. I used to work retail management back home, and whenever it would rain crazy, it was the same thing. Nobody would come in, and I'm like, they're asking like, why are sales so bad? I'm like, well, look at the weather today. I can tell you right now, like that, I know when people aren't going to come in because it's going crazy outside. No one wants to go shop when it's raining. So as far as like opening your own boutique or running your own boutique, do you feel like there's any like pitfalls or obstacles that are like either common or that you had to overcome that were maybe something you didn't think you were going to have to deal with in the process?
I didn't know how many licenses I was going to need.
Okay.
When I went into, this business, I just thought I had to get a wholesale license so I could order clothes. I didn't know I was going to need like an occupancy license, like to open an actual store, you have to get permission. I didn't know I was going to have to, like with the fire marshal, I didn't know he would have to come and inspect my store. And, you have to keep up to codes and have exits and exit signs. And so I went in a little blind thinking all I was going to do was just sell clothes and people could come in the store. But no, every year they have to come in and kind of inspect the area. Electrician has to come in. And so to keep my license, I have to pass all these inspections and codes in order to keep my store.
Okay.
So that's something I've kind of learned that I had no idea coming into this.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that either, to be honest. I figured it would have been like you get like an LLC where you get like your little company and then go run it. But that's crazy.
Yeah, no, you still have to answer to people. You still have to follow, certain guidelines to keep your boutique.
Okay, I got you. So that's a good piece of advice. So if someone, whether it's someone in high school or a younger adult, is looking to maybe like get into this world of maybe like opening their own boutique, whether maybe it's online or maybe like more so in your case, like in an actual store, what do you feel like would be like a good first step for them to take to kind of like see if they're really wanting to do it, see if they're really interested in it?
I would say definitely go for it. If it's something you're passionate about, you want to do it. If it's even an idea in your mind, go for it. I would say start off small, kind of like I did. Get a feel for it. See if it's something you like. This isn't just like for me, it's not, a 9 to 5. When I go home, I'm having to look through different types of clothes for the following season. Right now, I'm looking at clothes for winter. And so it doesn't just end when you lock up the store. You kind of have to keep with the trend. You have to keep what's in style. You have to look at magazines, look at social media, see what people are wearing. So I would say definitely go for it, but just know that it's not, a 9 to 5 job. This is something that you kind of have to be passionate about, that you do at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, stuff like that. But definitely I would say go for it.
So do you have like not like necessarily like a piece of not necessarily a recommendation as far as like what you recommend maybe, but like how did you find like those first few brands that you started selling? Were you just finding them on social media, or how are you doing that?
I was very lucky that another girl who's a friend of the family also owns an online boutique, and she's the one that told me you actually need to get a wholesale license, and there's a company in California that has a bunch of brands that they work with. So she kind of gave me a heads up, gave me a little bit of knowledge, and she really helped me. And that's something I try to do with other young girls that want to open a boutique. I try to give them as much knowledge as I can because of the help I got starting off.
Yeah, of course. That's actually really positive. I know a lot of people get very like, these are my secrets and I'm gonna keep them to myself and nobody else is gonna help.
No, I think like if somebody asks me for help, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna try to teach you everything I know, because how am I gonna get better? I feel like we have to help one another, especially right now with everything, you know, going on in the world. I feel like we need to help people, especially small businesses.
Yeah, 100%. So I kind of asked earlier, but kind of like maybe if you can expand on it more, or if not, then not, because I mean maybe that's the final answer. But like long-term goals for yourself within like this, as far as like opening boutiques. I don't know if you're like in 10 years, I want to have 10 boutiques across Texas, or I don't know, just whatever that long-term vision is and goal for you is.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely opening more boutiques. Right now, I'm thinking more of small towns.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have asked me, like, are you going to move to a larger city? I feel like the type of boutique I have, there's too much competitions in big cities, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with malls and other outlets. But definitely, my goal is to have at least 3. So I have one boutique right now. I've been looking at places in South Texas, and I definitely want to open 2 more boutiques. I would love to have employees running my stores that I could trust, that I could train, and I could just pick up the phone and call and say like, hey, how's it going over there? How's it doing? What are sales for today? So that would definitely be a goal of mine.
Got it. That makes sense. It's really positive. I like it though. So kind of on the same thing, like with the long-term goals, like if you were to like do this whole process over again, how do you feel like you would have changed some things, maybe get to like from selling on Instagram to like getting to where you are now, having your own boutique? How could you have done that faster? What could you have changed to get here faster maybe?
I was really scared to, you know, get a store. I felt like at my home, it was my little comfort zone. I had a little bit of inventory, so I was, you know, making a little bit of money and I was happy about it, but I was really scared and hesitant to go bigger and open a store because of everything that goes with it, rent, utilities, insurance. And so I feel like I kept doubting myself a little bit, even though I had a great support, you know, from family and friends that kept saying like, you need to do this, you need to open a boutique. But I kept doubting myself. And so I feel like that's something I wish I could have changed. And I would tell my old self, like, you could do it as long as you have, a passion for something and you have a vision and you know what you want, you could do it. There's going to be a little bit of butterflies and you're going to be a little bit scared, but use that to motivate you to work harder, to make that money so you can pay your rent, you can pay your utilities. That's the only thing I wish I wouldn't have waited so long. I would have just, you know, pushed forward and opened my sooner. But that's just some advice I'd give, you know, to anybody out there. Don't doubt yourself. You know, you need to be your biggest supporter and your biggest fan.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I don't know who said it, but the quote was, you're never growing when you're inside your comfort zone. So you have to be a little uncomfortable to grow and to develop. So I think that ties into exactly what you're saying. Like if you're willing to push yourself a little bit harder, or maybe outside of where you want to be, like, you know, out of your apartment or your home where you're selling your family and just jumped a little bit quicker, you know, sometimes you just got to go for it though.
Exactly.
But it's positive. So as far as like opening your own boutique and kind of like running the show, do you feel like there's a type of personality or maybe like some good like qualities or traits that someone would have that could make them successful in doing what you're doing?
You have to be outgoing. You have to be friendly. You have to be positive. When somebody walks into your boutique, you have to make them feel welcome. I know it's a little hard for some people that are a little shy and a little, you know, kind of timid. You have to just, hi, good morning, welcome, you know, welcome to Small Town Aliens. That's the name of my boutique. So I feel like you do need to have that kind of outgoing personality. Talk to people, ask how their day's going, or ask them, so can I help you for a special occasion? What are you looking for? And some people say like a first date, like, oh, that's so exciting. Okay, well then we got to get you a nice outfit, you know? So I feel like being outgoing, being approachable is another thing, because people will have questions about, you know, dresses or sizes or prices. So you kind of have to be approachable. People need to be able to ask you questions and feel comfortable asking you questions. So I think you need to keep that in mind when opening a business like mine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So basically kind of being able to get outside of your shell and just kind of, again, communication. Seems like communication is like the key to this whole thing, is just
I
getting
know I said business helped me, but communication really did help me, talk to people and be approachable.
100%. No, that sounds like it's like a big driver. So as far as like running your own boutique, how does that affect like your general lifestyle, like outside of work, like work-life balance, weekends, like how does it kind of affect that?
So right now, I guess, because I haven't been in business too long, my main focus is growing the
Mhm.
business. So I go home and I'm, looking at clothes or looking at emails or answering messages from customers. So this is something that it's an everyday kind of thing that
Yeah.
I deal with. And I've talked to other business owners, like, when do you ever get a break, or when do you get to like take a vacation? And they'll tell me like, it's, once you build your business and you're happy with the way your business is going, then you could kind of take a step back. But in the beginning, this is kind of your main focus. It's kind of your full-time 24/7 kind of job, like I said, because I haven't been in business so long. So this is a lot of my time goes into my boutique.
Yeah, that's positive though, because I mean, you're building something for yourself for longer term that's going to really impact your life. It's not like you're working for somebody else and you're putting in hours and hours and it's not going to build up to anything. So it's kind of
Right.
a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And like I said in the beginning, it doesn't feel like work to me. This is something I love. This is something I'm passionate about. So when I come in the morning, it doesn't feel like I'm going to work.
Yeah, that's super, super positive.
Yeah, so I feel like if you do something you love, it doesn't feel like work.
No, 100%. So you said that you talked to like other business owners. Are they in Uvalde as well, or is it just across Texas, or?
Yes, so I do. One of the business owners here also owns a retail store, and we keep in close contact. She kind of took me under her wing when I first opened up my store, so that was really nice. I've also met other business owners from other cities and towns that have just walked into my boutique.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm always talking to people, and we got to talking, and they own a boutique and they own multiple boutiques. So that's something I really want to do. And so we exchanged information. We've kept in contact. Whenever I have questions, I definitely go to them as mentors. And so that has really helped me. And I feel like you always kind of need a network
Yeah.
because they might know something you don't know, or you might know something they don't know, and y'all can help each other out.
100%. I don't know, it makes a lot of sense. So
Mhm.
one question I actually sometimes ask and sometimes I don't ask, but I think it's just important for like the idea of kind of like we talked about like the work-life balance and that you're putting a lot of work into it now. And I'm just going to kind of like reaffirm it and then ask the question. So in my opinion, you can tell me if you agree with me. I feel like owning your own business is a really awesome thing to do, especially like someone you said you talked to, they own multiple boutiques. Because again, it kind of comes back to the whole, like right now you're kind of grinding, you're putting in a lot of time, you're working on the weekends, like you're kind of always working. My dad owned his own business as well, so I kind of seen this before.
Yeah.
But in the end, all that time that you put in builds up to the ability for you to have a self-sustaining business where you're not having to work as hard. You're still working, but you're not working as hard. The income earning potential is a lot higher because you've built this business from all those extra hours you've already put in before. But I guess it's one of those questions where I think it's kind of like that little bit of reality for anyone who does watch this. It's kind of like, how does like the whole pay for your, paying for everything, pay range right now, running the boutique work within like the first year or two of like running it and getting it all started? Like, how does that kind of break down? So I know we talked about it earlier.
Right. So I've been in business for a little over a year. So I do not pay myself yet. I do not get an income. The money that I make off of my clothes or in sales goes back into ordering more inventory, or we've expanded a little bit the store. And so it goes into putting new shelves or ordering new tables or more seating areas. So right now I do not get an income off the store. I do not pay myself because I'm trying to build my boutique. I'm trying to build my business. So everything I get, I put it right back. And again, that's something I asked the other business owners, and they told me the same thing. You really don't see any money the first couple of years. Like that's normal. Usually after 4 or 5 years is when you do start getting an income. You're able to pay yourself. And that was a little discouraging at first, kind of like, what? Like I said, I worked at a law firm, so I was used to getting, a steady paycheck. But this is something, my business is my baby, basically. So I'm okay with seeing the money and putting it right back and seeing the growth of my business since I started. So that's kind of the reality of opening your own business. In the beginning, you really don't see any income. You kind of have to build up your business first.
Yep, 100%. It's exactly what I've heard from other people who own their own businesses, as well as my own family. I think that's the biggest thing too that I've kind of heard is there are a lot of people that try and like draw income their first couple of years, and that ends up being a big like reason why they end up closing, is because the owner is trying to pull extra income out of the business versus reinvesting. So I think it's a really important thing that you did touch on, which is you're putting pretty much everything you're making, aside from obviously like paying for like, like your rent or your mortgage and your food and that kind of stuff, like, you have to have everything else goes going right back in, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So another great question I'd love to ask, it's kind of more a little bit off topic, but I love to ask questions because everybody's gives me different answers. Right now, like, what do you do in your free time, or do you have any hobbies when you're not, answering emails, answering phone calls, whatever it is that you normally do for work?
I love to read.
Okay.
That is kind of my, like, how I relax. I love to be outdoors. So like sunny days like today, I'll go outside with a book. I love to read. I get excited when I order a new book and it comes in. And so that's kind of what I do on my spare time. I live in a small town, so it's not like we have any hopping places to go to, on Friday night. We don't. So that's my way of just letting my brain relax and escape everything, the paperwork, payroll, stuff like that. So that's what I like to do in my free time. I love to read.
Do you have like a specific type of book that you like to read, or type of genre, I guess?
I like history.
Really? Okay. You read history?
I know.
Or you do like stories about like historical stuff?
Yes, like I love like British history, which
okay.
People would never guess that.
No.
Yeah, but that's what I love to read, like King Henry VIII and the Tudors, and like I could tell you about the whole family. I love to read about like British history and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
cool. I've never heard that answer before, so it's very different. I like that. And then this might kind of tie into the same thing, because I wouldn't guess that would be your hobby, but any other secret talents or hobbies that someone wouldn't know by first meeting you, aside from reading the British history, because that's a good one. Actually, I'm not gonna
lie. Secret talents. I don't think I have any hidden talent. I'm a big like animal lover. Like I throw a birthday party for my dog every year, and we invite her friends. She's a boxer. I have an 8-year-old European boxer. So she's really big. And we invite her friends, and all the dogs come over, and we have cake and ice cream, and we give out goodie bags. And it's like she knows it's her birthday because I put on her party dress. And she'll sit like at the dinner table in her chair, and she's looking at everybody while we sing happy birthday. So I guess that's, I like
it. Did she get her own cake, or?
Okay, so like I'll eat from like the other side of the cake.
Okay.
I know. I buy one cake, and I'll cut like her slice, and then I'll eat like my slice, and like I'll put her ice cream in her bowl. And I know, but it's fun. I don't have any kids, so she's like my child.
No, that's cool. That's really, really awesome. Sounds like she's a little spoiled, but that's fine. I love dogs too, so I completely understand. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I have as far as like my questions right now, Miss Audrey. Do you have anything that you wanted to add, or maybe like any like words of motivation, or maybe just any like positive sentiments for anyone who ends up watching this video who's interested in doing something like what you're doing?
I would just definitely say go for it. If you have an idea or you have a dream, go for it. If it's something you're passionate about, do it. Um, what happened with me is I lived in a big city and I knew that we have malls, we have a lot of places to shop. But my hometown, we don't have any, places to shop. So I knew this would be a great place to start a boutique. And I think that a lot of people need to keep that in mind in whatever business they're doing. Is there a need for it? Is there a demand? So that's something you should really check in before, opening your business.
No, it's a really good piece of advice. You really got to kind of like know your market and really know what your competition is, and knowing
Right.
if what you're trying to offer is needed or going to be like valuable. Especially, like, sounds like it's perfectly like where you're at right now. It sounds like it's perfect since there's not, the closest place like San Antonio or somewhere that's even farther away. So.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so one more time, I mean, if you'd like to, if you want to like shout out the name of the business and maybe like an email address for yourself if you want to as well for the business. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, look at some of the clothes they can, or maybe contact you. Maybe someone watched this video and 2 years down the road they open their own boutique and they're like, Miss Audrey, how do I do this? And then you can let me know.
Yes. So my boutique is called Small Town Elegance. We are located in Uvalde, Texas. So you could just Google us. We have a website. Just Google Small Town Elegance. Click our website. It'll take you directly to our page. And so you can see all our inventory we have. We're also on Facebook, Small Town Elegance, Instagram, smalltownelegance.com. And yes, so this was a lot of fun. So thank you. This interview was awesome.
Of course, Miss Audrey. Thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. And again, if anybody wants to get a hold of her, please do. And thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Miss Audrey. Bye-bye.
Bye.